We owe all the credit to Josh Fu. He is a mutual friend of ours who
100%.
made this connection, and he came to me, knew I was a huge fan of Top Chef, and was like, "Hey, are you watching the current season?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "Yeah, I know Anthony pretty well. Like, I've done shoots with him. Would you want to have him on your podcast?" And I was like, "Yes." Hey there, Omaha. Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and my guest today is a rising star on the national culinary scene. He is the executive chef for Marcus Samuelsson's restaurant in DC. He's competed several times on Food Network and most recently finished in the top 6 of the most recent season, season 23 of Top Chef. Anthony Jones from Washington, D.C., in Omaha, Nebraska. This feels crazy, but Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you for having me. I didn't think this would be how I would touch base in Omaha first, but I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy.
We we owe all the credit to Josh Fu. He is a mutual friend of ours who
100%.
made this connection, and he came to me, knew I was a huge fan of Top Chef, and was like, "Hey, are you watching the current season?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "Yeah, I know Anthony pretty well. Like, I've done shoots with him. Would you want to have him on your podcast?" And I was like, "Yes." Like, does bacon taste good? Of course. Yes, let's do that. So
Hell yeah.
I'm so happy to have you on today. I want to start with kind of a wide-ranging question.
Okay.
When you look back at your Top Chef experience, what's something that surprised you, something that really interested you, something that got left on the cutting room floor, like something about the Top Chef experience that you feel like most people don't know that you kind of got your eyes open to from being on the show?
It's first off, it's a great experience. It's an honor to be part of it, to compete amongst such amazing chefs. All of them in their own right are doing amazing things in their cities, cultures, demographics, neighborhoods, and all the above. But like at the same time, I think going into it, I'm not like a very aggressive person in any way, shape, or form, or like anything like that. But I wanted to have fun in the competition. And at the end of the day, I was hoping like, oh, maybe one or two people I'll come out of it and, I'll be closer with them or the case might be. But I was like very surprised and very happily surprised that everyone on the season, they were amazing individuals. We all stay connected and like we all communicate with each other. We help each other out at events, with events, and so on and so forth. And I think that's something that going into it from the outside, you'd be a little surprised of. Because at the end of the day, it is still a competition, and you want to win. There can only technically be one winner, but still in the same sense, you just from being in the competition, you do win something, you do gain something from it, even if it's not monetary value up front. It's the companionship, the help, the support, the community that you become a part of.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that because, like, if you go back and watch the evolution of Top Chef, especially the first
Yes.
probably 10 to 12 seasons, it's pretty cutthroat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. 100%.
there's a lot of personalities clashing. There's obviously friendships form, and some of this is the editing of the show too, but it's focused a lot more on the clashes.
Yeah.
And definitely the last, I would say, 4 or 5 seasons, it has seemed like the groups of chefs have been closer. But that's something my wife and I watching the show, we were like, this group really seems to connect. Like
Yeah.
there was the group of people that had like they all had the matching what was it like
Oh, the
leis-
green
yeah
sweatsuits. Yeah.
the leisure wear.
Yeah.
You guys were just always making jokes with one another. Like we even watched the episode last night, unfortunately, the one where you got eliminated. But Lawrence is like,
Yeah.
"Not you, Anthony. Any of them. We could eliminate any of them, but not you." And
Yeah.
and and after the season, just seeing how many collaboration dinners or pop-ups you guys have done together, do you think there was anything particular about this cast that allowed you guys to bond so closely?
I mean, I think we, in all honesty, went in it in the beginning without like any ego whatsoever. We just wanted to cook good food, represent ourselves well, and we wanted to win. We wanted to beat each other, of course, but like we wanted to beat each other at our best. Like we wanted everyone to strive and give 110% and to at least be on that level. So, if we're in the bottom, we're in the bottom. If we're in the top, we're in the top. But we wanted everyone to strive to get there.
So we'll talk more about Top Chef, but first I want to talk a little bit about Anthony and get an
Okay.
introduction to you because your star is rising very quickly in the culinary world. Obviously, Top Chef shines a very bright spotlight, but that's not the only thing you have going for you. You are a 2026 finalist for the James Beard Awards in the Emerging Chef category. You are a finalist for Rising Culinary Star for the Rammies, which are the DC, Maryland, and Virginia Food Awards. I mean, I could keep going. Your resume is getting pretty impressive. Yet,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
from watching you on the show and from what I've seen on social media, you don't strike me as someone who you don't necessarily shy away from attention, but you also don't seek it out. What has it been for
Yeah.
you now that you're getting recognized a lot more publicly? Has that been an evolution for you? Are you comfortable with it, or kind of how has that made you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's fun. I appreciate it. And like you're right. Like I don't necessarily go out seeking attention in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty laid back. Uh, I normally work home, work home. I do go out sometimes and have fun, but just something casual. But in the same sense, like if someone's in the restaurant, they want to walk up and ask me a question, or they want me to come up to a table, ask me a question, or take a photo. Like I always say yes, I never say no. Literally, if someone sees me on the street, the same thing applies. Ask me whatever crazy question might come into your head, and I'll take photos. Like it doesn't bother me, just because like I appreciate the fact that people saw the season, they connected with or enjoyed watching me that much to where they and that they feel comfortable enough to come up to me and just talk, like random strangers come up and talk to me, ask me how my sister's doing, ask me how much do I get to fish now since I've been away from the competition, like stuff like that. Like it's all genuine, and so I appreciate all of it, and yeah, I welcome it.
It's really interesting. I had Joe Flam and Adrian Cheatham on the podcast recently, and we
Yeah,
talked a little bit about how it's so interesting in that food personalities are becoming celebrities to some extent now, and like none of you guys got into this to
no,
be on TV or to be in the media. You got in it to cook. You got in because you love food, and now all of a sudden, like there's this whole new aspect to your job that you did not get into it with, or you did not think was going to be a part of your life originally. What has it been like for you, kind of having to add that media skill set onto already, cooking and leading people is a
yeah.
huge job unto itself.
I mean, it's media, so no matter what you say, it's up to someone else's interpretation, and how they're going to perceive it and digest it, and then reintroduce it to the world or to people. But like at the end of the day, I keep being myself, so it's working out for me so well, so far. Like I'm the same person that I was on TV, that I am at the restaurant, that I am out on the streets when I'm getting groceries. So it's easy. I don't. There's no changing. There's no switch up. Just keep being myself.
I was listening to another podcast that you were on when you were talking about kind of your start in all this, and you
Yeah.
said that your family was supportive when you told them that you wanted to be a chef, but it was a little bit of a shock because that
Yeah.
was not that it wasn't expected.
No.
What made you get into this career, and how did you kind of help everyone see that, yeah, maybe this isn't the path that we originally thought I was going to take, but this is what makes me happy. This is what I'm really good at, and I think this is for me.
Yeah. Well, inspiration for it was definitely the old school Japanese Iron Chef. Like watching that as a kid changed my whole mindset about cooking and about food. And I legit still watch reruns today. I have two streaming apps on my TV so that I can continuously watch them. There's like one channel dedicated just to it, so I can leave it on, be on the couch, fall asleep to Top Chef, wake up, and there's still another battle. So that's actually pretty cool. So that was pretty much what opened my eyes to cooking as a profession. Like everyone in my family can cook, and most of them do it well. but none of them tried to do it professionally to this extent. And like in all honesty, I don't think I as like a eureka moment from my family ever really happened until probably when I was leaving DC to go to Miami, and I was going to go help Marcus open up Red Rooster there in Miami. I think that's when my family realized, like, oh, he's moving for a job, but it's a more high profile job. And like when I started doing like events or offsites that represented the restaurant and represented myself, then I guess they realized like, oh, this is okay. This is a decent career for him. He might be something. But before that, like they're like, as long as I'm not calling home or like getting into trouble asking for help, they're like, I guess he's okay.
So you mentioned Marcus Samuelsson. He is one of the most famous and most accomplished chefs, I'd say, in America, if not the world. And you're the executive chef at his premier restaurant in Washington, D.C. Obviously, that's a pretty high honor. What did success look like for you as you were entering the industry compared to now?
That's a really so. Originally, when I entered into the industry, like after culinary school, I said to myself, I just need to be a good chef. I need to run a restaurant properly, have and build a team, support them, train them, and then just cook good food. Like I'll be recognized by my peers, by the community. I'll be amazing. I'll be able to get my own spot, and like that's that. That's cut and dry. Obviously, the industry has changed a lot. Society has changed a lot since then. Cooking good food is important, but it's not enough. Definitely training, maintaining your staff, nurturing them. That's double as even more important than it was back then. It's always been important, but now the scene has changed so much, and we're all fighting for those diamonds in the rough that are so incredibly hard to find. So when you do get one, like you want to hold on to them and like give them as much knowledge as you possibly can, nurture them as much as you can, because you understand how difficult it is in the industry, and you want them to hopefully sidestep the mistakes that you made so that they can achieve more success than you've achieved so far. But yeah, like I'm in the restaurant quite a bit. And that's always been the case, no matter the job. Like I always believe hard work pays off eventually. It may not always be tomorrow, but down the road it all adds up. And that just hasn't changed.
Why do you think it's more difficult to find those diamonds in the rough, like you were talking about today, as opposed to 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean the whole job sector has changed completely. Hospitality is something that anyone and everyone can do it. I think the ones that strive at it or just are the most successful at it aren't necessarily the smartest ones. It's not even always the ones who are able to figure things out the quickest or the best. Most of the times, it's the ones with the most passion, because it's hospitality. You're there to serve, and you have to understand that from the jump, and you have to be comfortable with that idea to where your job is literally there to your purpose is to enrich the experience or the life of someone else. So you're not serving yourself, you're serving others. And that's a mindset that most people, especially now, they're not necessarily on the same wavelength with. And then on top of that, the whole work-life balance thing. Restaurants have never been the best area or sector for a work-life balance. It's always been a complete opposite. And trying to create that environment where it is possible is extremely difficult, because you're working between like very, very thin margins. You have to make miracles happen. You have to deliver consistently. Reviews are different now than they were back then, versus like word of mouth, or a friend, that friend knows a friend, and then maybe something happens between Google, Yelp, Open Table, like everything else. There's just so many factors to take in consideration of what can make your business successful or not successful. So
I think that there's this outside perception that most just people outside of the restaurant industry have, that when a chef goes to culinary school, their goal is to ultimately have their own restaurant someday.
yeah,
And that's true for a lot. But there are chefs who are more than happy to be a part of a big brand and be an executive chef. There are chefs that want to go into private dining. There are chefs that want to, now basically work for themselves on social media.
yeah.
What are your aspirations for your career right now? I know that you're really happy, working for Marcus. Do you have goals of opening your own place someday? Or when you look into the future of your career, what do you see?
Um, Definitely for sure, I would like to have my own restaurant one day. But I honestly don't know. Like, I think it's especially now, when I was younger, when I was a kid, what I thought I would be and what I would want to accomplish has changed slightly compared to now. Like some of the things I thought that wouldn't be necessary to accomplish, it's like, oh no, I need to actually knock these off the bucket list because they're stepping stones to get to or make it easier to get your own restaurant. Like the whole media and marketing and like branding of myself is, something that's very important. Not saying that it wasn't back then, but chefs could be a bit more of a rebel, and it was fine. Nah, not so much now. Sure, with certain parameters and restraints as possible. So, but it's just one of those things. Like it's different. It's difficult. Like investing in yourself, it just looks differently. I think now, than it did back then, and the margins for a restaurant being profitable are even harder now than it was back then. And there's so many other factors to consider that weren't necessarily talking points, like sustainability, locality, seasonality was pretty much always important. But the factor of like how is a product treated from point A all the way to Z, whose hands are touching it, the grade, the level of it, like so many different things that actually factor and are important to running a business. And like the business aspect of it is much harder than cooking.
To introduce your kind of culinary style, I would love for you to break down one dish in particular for me. In my research, it was a dish that kept coming up, kept coming up. I think you probably
Yeah.
even know what I'm going to ask about.
Yeah.
But this is Mel's crab rice.
Yep.
So this is the dish. It's on the Marcus DC menu. I was just reading the description of this. I was about drooling all over my keyboard. Can you tell me a little bit about the inspiration of this dish and how it connects to your childhood? What makes it special to you?
Yeah, so like I love eating rice. I've always loved eating rice, whether it's savory or sweet. And it's always been something on the dinner table in some format. And then I think over time and experiences like in Miami, I was introduced to red rice or just different ways of cooking rice in a sense, and different ways of flavoring it, whether it's from the Latin lens or South American lens, whether it's from the islands, whether it's from Africa. So I think it just grew and developed there even more. And then when I came back home, I knew I wanted to do a dish like this or like that for the restaurant here. I'm going through it in my mind, building it out, trying to figure out my garnishes and what else I want to go and put in there. And then also the flavoring behind it. Like I really wanted to taste, like I wanted to be an umami bomb. Like I wanted there to be so much going on. There has to be textural differences. I know I wanted to put okra. I'm not the biggest fighter for okra because I know it's like you either love it or you hate it, and
Very pervasive.
there's no one in that middle ground camp. No one. And and I don't try and force people to eat it. Like it's one of those things. If we take it to the table, like if I'm presenting it, and someone asks, oh, can I mix it? I'm like, yes, you can. But are you okay with okra? Like if you're not okay with okra, it's literally here on the side, located in the dish. Just scoop it out. Like you're not gonna hurt my feelings. If you're not okay with it, scoop it out. If you love okra, then hell yeah, mix it in there. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna change the texture of the dish and make it even better. But then the most important part was what's going to be for me like the crowning jewel for the dish, and crab instantly came to mind because it's Maryland, DMV, like it's literally on our driver's license. So when I was thinking about how to name the dish, Mel came to mind instantly because that was the one crab truck we stopped by consistently and religiously when I was a kid in the summertime to get our crabs. There's other places to get crabs where I'm from in Maryland, but Mel's, he always had us. Like he had the family business, he had us locked in. We weren't going anywhere else. It was always top quality stuff. The females were always great. The female crabs are always great. So we just always went with Mel's.
I love that. And I would love to try that dish someday. Like if I get to Washington at any point, that's on my bucket list for sure.
When I come to Omaha, I'll make it for you.
Perfect. And okay, we can talk about that potentially off the mics. Josh has told me some things might be in the works. Regardless,
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there right now. Um, it's so interesting on Top Chef because contestants usually come in, they either already own their own place or they're an executive chef at somebody else's place. And sometimes the chefs who don't have their own place yet, they are so used to cooking someone else's food, executing someone else's vision, that when they get on the show, they kind of struggle because they haven't really developed their cooking point of view yet. And the judges will always hammer them and say, "Hey, cook your food. Don't cook Thomas Keller's food. Don't cook, Marcus Samuelsson's food. We want to see what you have to say." As someone who came in, you've had multiple people on this season, Lawrence and Seeger and one of the twins. I think it was Brandon owns his own place. Like
Yeah.
people who do have their own concepts already, you don't. What was it like for you to join that show? Did you feel like you had your cooking point of view down and you knew what you wanted to do, or did it take some time for you to kind of find your footing and figure out how you were going to fit in?
No, it was actually pretty easy. Because like the food I cook here, it's still just an expression of me. Whether it's I'm focusing maybe a bit more on a certain lens or aspect of it, because Marcus's name is on the building, of course. But at the end of the day, like it's still food that it's something in some way, shape, or form. It's tied to me. So if it's not something that inspires me or is a memory or something that interests me, then it's not going to be on the menu. So for the competition, it wasn't really difficult. Like everything I cooked was something that I've somewhat cooked before, I wanted to cook in the future, or like something that just really resonated with me. And yeah, like I had no issue.
Okay, then I would love to hear another example because you've talked about Mel's crab rice a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Give me something else on the menu. A story that you haven't told as much, but also has deep connections for you.
Gotcha. I would say like right now we're offering a tasting menu at the restaurant, and we're getting ready to change it up for summer. But literally, so every dish on the menu is in some way, shape, or form like a memory or an expression of myself in a sense. Like even the snacks on the menu are like just ways of me having fun. But I think, and it's kind of weird because it's just bread. But the bread course for the tasting menu. So my great grandmother, she used to make these amazing yeast rolls. She took the recipe with her. Like I don't know how to make them. I honestly don't know how to make them. Sadly, she never wrote anything down. But like, and it was I have such a vivid memory of them, like the color, the taste, the shape of them, the fluffiness of them. And so literally for my whole entire career, I've been trying to just get closer and closer to that. And so like on the menu, we have these nori Parker House rolls. And for me, they're a close representation of it. Obviously, my great grandmother did not know what nori was. We didn't have nori anywhere in Calvert County. We probably might still not, but who knows? But for me, like that, and then it goes with like bay leaf butter. So bay leaf is one of the ingredients that we all use every day, whether you're a home cook or a chef. Most of the time, if you're a home cook, you're using it dried. But we use only fresh, and most people just throw it in and they don't necessarily know why they're doing it. But it brings so much flavor and floralness to the butter, and it pairs so well with the bread. And every time, like Chef Rachel's baking them and they come out the oven, I smell them and it just like takes me back to my great grandmother's house on Sundays after church. And it's like just a great memory for me. But yeah, I think like the whole tasting menu of itself is just like a walk down memory lane or just like a walk through my life with me.
I love that. And that makes me really wish that you could have gotten to the finale because it was all about like toasting like parts of your life. I would have loved to see what that final menu would have been for you.
Yeah.
Uh, let's get into the experience. So, like, you did very well on the show. You've ended up finishing sixth, but you won two elimination challenges. You won, at least before taxes, tens of thousands of dollars in quickfire challenges.
Yeah.
Uh, you mentioned that sometimes you get recognized on the streets now, or people want to take a picture with you. But what is being on Top Chef done for your? I guess it's hard to say for your career because it's all still so fresh, but just for your daily life, how has it affected things?
Um, I mean, just about that, really. Like, it's like just being comfortable with someone recognizing you and you don't know who they are, or people talking to you, and they do fundamentally know stuff about me, and I don't even know their names yet.
Hmm.
So like they'll start a conversation and like it will be 2 5 minutes in like, oh yeah, my name's blah blah blah. I'm like, thanks. That like okay, so now we can get back into um but then it's even like in the same sense, like career wise, it's my peers have been very supportive, like the fellow chefs in the city. They were very proud of me for representing DC, representing myself, representing the culture very well. So like it just shined a light on me in general. And it's one of those opportunities that I'm glad I had the chance to run with it, and I think I ran with it pretty well. So yeah.
Did you apply or did they reach out to you?
I think it was like a combination of both. Like I did apply a while ago, but then like there was like my schedule's like kind of always weird at the restaurants or whatever restaurant I'm working at. So like sometimes I'll apply for shows and then like just fill out the application and then just either you get a call back or you don't. Sometimes you get a call back and like the schedule doesn't line up. But for this one, like I think it was a combination of the two, and like I honestly didn't even tell anyone that I was auditioning for it because like I know on camera I don't like I'm a much better like in person in interaction type of individual versus on camera. Like I need something to work off of, like body language or something. The camera kind of just like is a barrier for me. So like there's plenty of times I've auditioned for stuff and crickets, never ever get a call back. So when then it was like one final phone call or Zoom with the producers and everything. They're like, yeah, so you're gonna be on the season of Top Chef, and so blah blah blah. And I was like, oh shit, I haven't told anyone. I was like, I need to run this by work first. Oh, so like in my mind, I was like very happy, obviously, that I got on the show, but like the conscious, like responsible part of me was like, you haven't done any of the necessary notifications to anyone. Like you're about to disappear for who knows how long. What's gonna happen?
Because that's the thing that most people don't realize about the show is, yeah, you basically put your life on pause for however long the show runs, usually between, 6 to 10 weeks. Like even when you get eliminated, you don't get to go back home. You
Yeah,
get put up in a hotel or whatever. So it's like you got to talk to your family, make sure your family's good without you. You got to figure out everything at work. I can only imagine how difficult that was, and just like balancing the excitement of, oh wow, I get to do this with,
yeah,
holy crap, I got to make some plans
yeah,
here.
exactly. Yeah,
So that was a little jarring.
yeah.
This was an especially interesting season of Top Chef. I think for the first time ever, I shouldn't say I think this is true. might have been the first time where twins competed. I'm pretty sure it was the first time where there was a couple who competed. You had
Sounds about right.
someone bow out of the competition due to an injury. You had one of the most contentious battles between a contestant and the judges table that at least I can remember. As you look back on this season, how did it go in terms of your expectations going in?
I think my expectations going in were just to, to have fun, cook good food, and whatever happens, happens. And I think looking at it with that type of lens allows you to enjoy it a bit more and not be as stressed because like it is a stressful situation. There's no way that it can't be. You're cooking in new foreign kitchens at all times. You don't necessarily know what equipment you're working with. You want to do the best that you can. There's curveballs. Yeah, there's naturally curveballs in the kitchen just working. There's even more when you're competing against 12 other plus individuals. So it's yeah. I think just going into it with just an open mindset and just having fun, set the bar high for yourself. But just be honest and just take it challenge by challenge.
In the first episode, as you were kind of introducing yourself, you said ego can go a long way or it can get you cut down real quick. How do you
Yeah.
think your humility served you well on the show?
Ooh, uh, I am told on a not regular, but I'm told enough that I am too humble, and that it is a detriment. So I guess who's to say on that one. But we're chefs, so we all naturally have egos, and I try and do my best to keep mine in check on a regular basis. Just like at the end of the day, I'm cooking food. I'm not saving anyone's life. I'm not building rockets that are going into space. I'm not, building prosthetics or in any way, shape, or form doing that type of stuff. So I am appreciative of what I do, but I do understand, like in the grand scheme of things, I make delicious food from time to time. So I think that helps keep me grounded and rooted and focused in a sense.
Not to boost your ego too much, but
Thanks, Jay.
I was recently having this conversation with a chef actually, and he kind of came to a realization during COVID that, he said something very similar to what you just said, and that at the end of the day, I'm just cooking food for people. I'm not performing surgeries. I'm not doing anything crazy. But he said he realized during COVID, when everyone was separate, how important it is to have that gathering place at the table and the power that food has to bring people together, or to have a moment like you just had 5 minutes ago when you were talking about your grandma's rolls and how
Yeah,
smelling them can transport you back to a place that no longer exists for you in the current
yeah.
state. I just i just want to let you know, Anthony, you are not just cooking food. You're bringing people together and you're creating experiences that open people's minds to thoughts and memories that they never had previously. So I just want to validate you a little bit.
Thank
But
you.
you did mention on the show that Marcus says you're too humble and you need to showcase yourself more.
Yeah.
You've been doing a good job of that by going on shows and stuff, but in what ways do you feel like you can continue to get yourself out there?
Just I guess being more, and it's happening this year. Being more active in the food scene, like just getting out of the restaurant, or
Mhm.
just doing stuff that collaborations with other chefs, whether it's here or in Omaha or you know who knows, Boston for sure, New York. So just like stuff like that, and I think just putting myself in those situations where, like, sometimes I think, like, that's the cool kids club over there, and I'm not quite ready yet to be a part of it. But just, I think in a sense of he's saying I need to interject myself more into those situations because I do deserve to be in those circles. I do deserve to have a voice. So just, just to demand it a bit more, probably.
Was there a challenge, an elimination challenge this season that really stuck out to you for any particular reason, or that you have a strong memory associated to?
Negative or positive?
Let's do one of both.
One of
Let's
I
start with
shouldn't
the
have given
positive.
shouldn't have given you a choice. I should have said positive. Let's see, a positive elimination challenge.
Well, you
Uh,
you won too.
yeah.
Those are both pretty positive. You won the dehydrator challenge and
Yes.
the dessert challenge, the one that everyone dreaded. Anthony
Yeah.
came out on top.
Yeah, no. I'll say the dessert challenge just because for me, like that still ties back to a memory, to a childhood. Like having that big, huge display of desserts, and some of them were more obviously. A lot of them were more recognizable than others, especially than the one that I picked. And I literally only picked it because it looked like a stack of pancakes. And my great grandmother Lucy, she used to I can't remember if it was before or after Lent, but like we would celebrate Pancake Day. So she would literally wake up in the morning and make these paper thin pancakes, and like literally you would go up to the house, and she would cut you a wedge, but the wedge would be like this tall, and like it would just like fall on the plate and just pancakes. And then my great grandfather, he raised and slaughtered hogs, so we would always have like head cheese, sausage, scrapple, stuff like that. And so like legit, I picked that dessert because they look like pancakes. And then I read the description. I was like, this has nothing to do with pancakes. Um, but luckily, like it was apples. So and you know, apple forward desserts are my favorite. So like it kind of just all meshed together. I was able to, you know, my great grandmother inspired me to pick the dessert, and then my love for a certain like specific genre or type of desserts kind of just led its way to the dish that I ultimately made.
And now, I mean, you put yourself up to this. Now you got to give me your least favorite one.
Ooh,
Let's
least
say not the elimination one. Although I don't.
that actually wasn't necessarily my least favorite.
Okay, what was
I
your
mean,
least favorite?
I had fun on that challenge. I think my least favorite challenge. Hold on, I'm going through them all, and it has to be elimination.
You can do a quick fire if you want. I'll open it up. Whatever you want.
Boom, thanks. Mm, I have more favorites than I do least favorites. I would probably say, and I'll be careful how I word all of this one for sure. But the quick fire with the kids, and I'm gonna be very careful. Um,
Hmm.
just because obviously I want to express fully why you know, like I love kids. I have no issue with kids. I'm actually really great with them. Um, I do believe though that that was a little wacky of a challenge, for sure. And then, like, I was surprised. We were all surprised how much say the kids had in determining the winner for the quickfire challenge. Like, I don't think I said it on camera, but I definitely said it in my head. When you know they announced the challenge and all that stuff, and the kids were gonna be the judge, I was like, "Wow, this is the quickest 10K I've ever lost in my life." Like, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt I was not gonna win that. Like, I was not gonna get that money. I just knew. And mainly because I wasn't in the mindset to make something that probably would have won that challenge. Just because, you know, what I wanted to cook probably wasn't going to be what the kids wanted to eat. And I knew my dish didn't have any sugar in it. It was completely savory. It was a soup. So I was like, shit, well, we'll see what happens. But you know, ultimately I was like, it's a quick fire. I can't get sent home. So I'm just going to have fun.
I mean, the parameters for that challenge, you had to like represent Christmas, you had to represent Colorado, You had to use pine nuts, and there was one other thing. I can't remember what it was now, but
Puffify.
that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yes. And I was
yeah,
just like, even if, I mean, the kids judging is a whole wild card because
right.
they have different palates than adults, but
Yeah.
yeah, that whole thing was just wild. I think if I asked most of your fellow contestants that question, what was your least favorite? I think I would get a lot of responses that said the color challenge because that you did
Ah,
very well. You
yeah,
made the three moles that they really liked, but again, this was another Top Chef. I don't know if it's a first, but I've watched all the seasons and I didn't remember this. They basically named the top three and then said, "All right, everybody else, come out." And Tom was in one of his grumpy Tom moods, and he was
yeah,
like, "You guys need to start figuring stuff out." Now, fortunately, you were over on the side with the
yeah.
winners, and you were like out of that. You weren't catching any shrapnel there. But what do you remember about like that moment, seeing all your
That was
your
yeah.
contemporaries really struggle, and then kind of have to face the music like that?
Yeah, I mean that one was tough. So like even though I was on the top, like I still felt shitty because we were there listening to everything. So even if it wasn't directed towards me, I still felt bad that it was directed to someone that I had just met them all for or some of the contestants I knew beforehand. But in the sense of like I still respected them all. So it was difficult and jarring to be in that position to where sure I'm not catching any criticism, but it's hard to watch someone go down the line and criticize what nine other people or however many people are left in the moment, eight, seven, whatever the case might be. Like it was just I was like, Jesus Christ, like man, he is going in. But like then in the same sense, I think that challenge was I don't think vague is the right word to use to describe it, but using natural food dyes, which once heat's applied to them, to most of them, once heat's applied, you lose that vibrant effect. And then like there were two different routes you could go with it. You can use the dyes and go for just straight color, or use the dyes and use them in the sense of for flavoring. And like you had an example of each technically on the top. Lawrence's the color was there, but I don't necessarily know if, and I didn't get to try his dessert, but I don't necessarily know if the color injected flavor into the dish. I know the it actually had obviously had its own flavor, and then Brandon's pasta. I think the pasta itself was colorful, but I don't know what other components he used that actually like interjected flavor in. And then mine was I just used ingredients that would naturally lean towards the three colors and then focus heavily on flavor. So, I think it was one of those situations where there was a lot for all of us to interpret as individuals, and there was just such a wide range for us to all just swing at. And that's why, the results were what they were.
It's one of those challenges, and this happens every once in a while on Top Chef, where it's kind of like you have 15 amazing chefs and who are great at cooking. If 80% of them struggle on a challenge, like struggle mightily,
Yeah.
maybe it's the challenge's fault or
Yeah.
the parameters, the setting that they're cooking in, whatever it is. Obviously, the three of you succeeded very well, but maybe Top Chef goes back to the drawing board before they bring that one back.
Yeah, no, for sure on that one.
You've talked so much in our conversation here about how, and I'm just so like inspired by this, how food is tied so closely to memories, and that's really where you draw your inspiration from, whether it's Mel's crab cart, or if it's the pancakes from your childhood. And I'm sure that this played into a lot of your dishes on Top Chef, and I apologize because I know I'm putting your memory on the spot here, but
No, you're good. You're
is,
good.
is there a particular dish that you produced this season that you look back on where you're just like, I felt really inspired on that one, or that came out exactly like I wanted, or this dish tells a story that really represents Anthony Jones? However you want to take that, is there a dish that you really identified with?
I would probably say it was the dehydration challenge. And not because I won, but in the sense of it was one of those great situations because obviously on Top Chef there's always that time constraint, and with that comes certain limitations. Like you have to figure out how to develop the same amount of flavor as you would in the restaurant sitting. In this sitting, in sometimes 2 hours or 1 hour, which is very difficult. You don't necessarily take shortcuts, but there's ways to get similar results, and then sometimes certain dishes just you can't trim down certain steps to get the same end result. But for me, like that dehydration challenge, just because like at the restaurant, we're always making sofritos, bases, marinades. Like it's always a multi-step process. Even if it's a crudo, besides the fish being cured and aged and all that stuff, all the garnishes, like there's time and preparation behind it. So for me, the dehydration challenge, because there was such that large window, and basically like I knew that I could build two or three different paste or flavoring agents and just concentrate the flavor and layer it in there. And I knew that on the day of the challenge on the pickup, like I already had like the game plan. Like if I just do this, this, and this, I'm going to get the same type of dish that I would knock out at the restaurant.
Something that I always find so interesting is that like all the contestants, they talk about how their goal is to get to Restaurant Wars. Everyone wants to compete
Yeah.
in Restaurant Wars, and like once you get to that final eight, and Kristen comes out and says today's Restaurant Wars, everybody's like, yeah, let's go. And then almost every time it's a huge struggle, and sometimes teams just go down in flames. I'm just like, why does everyone want to compete in this so badly? So I'm going to ask you, what is the allure of Restaurant Wars, and what is you guys, your team won, you were the
Yeah.
executive chef. What's your lasting memory of your Restaurant Wars experience?
It's I think that one is one of the best experiences of the competition normally for the group, just because you get to come together. There's two teams, two different camps. Hopefully you get along. But like, you guys get to build something together in that moment that technically won't be seen again.
Mhm.
Like what are the odds of Dwayne, Lawrence, Sherry, and myself coming together and agreeing and building out a concept and serving 100 people? Like obviously we'll do collabs and stuff like that, but from the plateware, the design, the decor, like all that, like there's so many other factors behind it. And most chefs do dream about having their own restaurant, building their own restaurant. So it's a nice little like taste of it. Um, and it's a good like benchmark of like a badge of honor or pride. Like yeah, I made it to Restaurant Wars. I'm a badass. Like we did this, we accomplished this. So yeah.
And what is your lasting memory from that experience?
Oh, takeout is funny. Takeout is funny. Uh, I remember one takeout order. A gentleman had called in, gave me his order, and I said, okay, that'll be like it'll be like 45 minutes because we were really getting touched up pretty bad with like tickets for service, and I really wanted to clear the board a certain amount before I could do these takeouts. And I remember the guy saying on the phone, I'm like, oh, 45 minutes isn't gonna work with me. I have to go pick my son up from practice. And I was thinking to myself in my head, I'm like, what do you mean you're not picking your son up anywhere from? That's not how this works. That's, that's not how this show works. But I was like, you know what, sir, I'm very sorry. Let me try and accommodate you. Would 20 minutes suffice? And he said yes. So that was a funny part. One of the guests or customers, just having a moment and just running with it. And I don't blame him. That was funny. It caught me off guard for sure. And it's like one of those real life experiences to where you are in a restaurant. If you do offer takeout, you try and give a decent window, and sometimes that doesn't work for everyone.
What's funny about that is I actually listened to a podcast where the host was one of the people who got to be one of the takeout
Oh,
diners.
really? Okay.
Yeah, and Top Chef gave him like a very distinct window, like you have to be here between now and now. And it was like in the afternoon. And he ran into that same problem. He was like, oh shoot, well, I got to pick up my kid from school, so I had to get a babysitter and I had to do all this yada yada. And I was like, huh, that's an interesting little behind the scenes that I wouldn't have thought about. But
Yeah,
yeah, the whole takeout curveball was an interesting one. I'll be interested to see if they bring that back or if that one just gets 86th. And I don't
maybe.
think I don't think you guys would mind if it got 86th, but
It's one of those things, especially now since COVID. Like, it is a factor to take in consideration when you're building a menu and you have a business. Like, takeout will it does matter. So
uh, I gotta ask you about this.
okay,
You weren't actually there because unfortunately you've been eliminated by this point, but I'm sure that you watched the season. You've had conversations with your fellow chefs and maybe even with Seeger himself. But Seeger at the judges table and that
yeah.
confrontation, what are your thoughts on what went down there?
I think that was just a situation of there was, like you said earlier, there were some challenges that, like the color challenge, which were a bit too open to interpretation, and it led to a varying, plethora of results. And I think like stuff like that happened enough to where Seeger wanted to voice his opinion on the situation. Um, Obviously, it was received a certain way. It's and it's I'm not gonna say it's unfortunate because I do feel as though he got to say what was on his mind. He got to speak his mind, and definitely will go down Top Chef history because I don't think anyone's talked to the judges like that before ever really. But like in the same sense, like Seeger is a very smart chef. He's a very talented cook. So I think he was just expressing himself. Now whether or not that came off beautifully to the viewers or to the fan base, or whatever the case might be, is one thing. But like in the same sense, he felt as though it was something that needed to be said. He felt justified in the moment for saying it. So, and I wasn't there. So who knows how I would have fared in that challenge.
Hmm. Now, I got to ask you about the experience of watching the show
Yeah.
because we as viewers get a 40-minute window into this episode, but I mean, I can't even imagine how many hours and hours and hours of footage that the producers have to sift through to edit it down to those 40 minutes. And as someone who experienced it, we're seeing events that happen from an entire day in a very condensed form. So
Right.
you experience this whole day and only a very small part of it is going to be shown, but you don't know what part. You don't know
Right.
what quotes they're going to take from you
Yeah.
saying. You don't know what part of the cooking process they'll show. If you had an awkward interaction with someone else, if they're going to show that. What was it like for you to watch the show week to week?
I realized that I cuss quite a bit. So that I was like, I don't remember swearing that much on TV, but I guess I did. So, no, and stuff like that. That we were definitely a very goofy season. We said some pretty like just like off the wall type stuff. And that they captured it. Like Lawrence's pose on the dining table. And like I'm right in front, and I didn't even remember that. So I was like, when did they take that photo? Obviously we were all posing for it, so
It happened.
So it definitely happened. So no, it's just stuff like that. Like it is like you're right. You don't know what you say today, how it'll be presented, down the road or tomorrow. So it was we said a lot, we experienced a lot, we did a lot. So it's always crazy to see how in however hours it took to get that challenge done, how it is consolidated down to the 40 minutes, and you're like, oh man, I did this awesome blah blah blah, but that wasn't even showcased. Or like luckily for me, I didn't cut myself or anything. Like that's one of like the worst things you can possibly do when you're competing on television is if you spill something explodes, or you cut yourself. Oh, you're gonna have the camera on you for at least 30-40 minutes through the whole process. It's gonna slow you down even like it is. That's my advice. Do not do that shit on TV. But But yeah, it's amazing to see the amount of craftsmanship and art and just hard work that goes behind it. Because like we're also chefs. We're not necessarily like we're grumpy sometimes, and we're not used to having cameras in our face at all times. So I do know, they definitely try their best to catch our positive moments for sure.
I gotta ask you, it's about. I'm gonna frame it in the frame it by talking about Top Chef, but it really goes for any cooking competition. Like it's almost kind of ironic that the show is called Top Chef. It's not. It's more like Top Cook. It's not really encompassing very much, maybe outside of Restaurant Wars and a couple other challenges, what it's like to be a chef. Because, like you
Yeah.
said earlier, a chef is so much more. It's managing finances, it's hiring, it's training employees, it's learning how to manage a staff. Like, once you rise to the level of executive chef, cooking is but a fraction
Yeah.
of the job. So, how did you kind of how did you adapt yourself and kind of take on that skill set that allows you to be successful on cooking competition shows? Because cooking in competition is wildly different than what you do in the restaurant every day.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, luckily for me, like even to this point, like I'm still hands on. Whether it's working the line sometimes, like if someone calls out, and if I know that I might have a bench of a few employees, but depending on the day, like if I know they already have plans or it's gonna be inconvenient or hard for them to come in, like I'll actually just try and work the station. Hopefully they prepped it up well the night before. So I still have that mindset. Like I still have the mindset of a cook and a chef at the same time. But like in all honesty, you have to be very realistic with yourself in those in competing, because it's not like, oh, I think I can do this. No, no, no. You have to be very like, what can I do in 30 minutes? I don't have my prep cook. I don't have my sous. Don't have my lead line cook. What can I do from peeling these potatoes to blah blah blah? Like you have to think about every minute detail that goes into it, and because like every second matters, it all adds up. All the decisions matter, because if you spend so much energy doing this one project just for it to have a lackluster result, or even worse, you burn it. Like Jesus Christ, like burning something, losing 10 minutes in a 12-hour shift, eh. Losing 30 minutes in a 12-hour shift doesn't matter. Losing that in like an hour challenge, it is beyond detrimental. So like that's definitely some more advice I would say. Like you have to be very realistic and honest with yourself on your skill set and what you feel comfortable with doing to accomplish that task.
All right, last one I got for you here.
Okay.
You've conquered Chopped. You conquered Beat Bobby Flay. You represented yourself very well on Top Chef. Is your competition cooking career over? Are you still looking for active
Ooh.
opportunities? What are your thoughts?
I am very competitive naturally, and I do look forward to some opportunities in the future. I'm always open to it. I probably will look for something for next year to just have some fun and see. Don't know if it'll probably won't be as big as Top Chef. There's really not many other competitions on that grand of a scale. Also, it's kind of hard to be away from the restaurant for so long, so I have to be very mindful of that. But yeah, no, I definitely look forward to doing some more competing.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see you because it's a lot of fun to watch you cook from afar. Depending on what happens, maybe there'll be an opportunity to see that more close up in Omaha here in the future. But
Yeah.
we'll leave that for right now. Anthony, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and kind of pull back the curtain, not only on Top Chef, but also on your career and kind of what it looks like to become an extremely successful chef. Thank you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, Dan. Truly, truly.
All right. Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.